It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This is episode number 41. And as far as I know, I am still your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, joined by a new dad, actually. He is Papa Dr. Ocho. Ocho, how's the dad life going, brother? Congratulations, by the way.
It's superb, man. It's a fun transition. There's a rhythm to find. I'm all about patterns, and I have to find this pattern because every time I figure something out, this little princess, she does something different just to throw me off. I'm shocked that my daughter, who is 2 weeks and 1 day old, is smarter than me already. I'm not that smart. It's not a knock on me. It's a braggadocious moment about her.
Have you tried the cheetah pattern?
I have not.
Maybe that'll work for you.
I'm big on patterns, man. You know me.
Try cheetah, try scorpion. I mean, I'm sure you'll find one that works out. Other than that, how's the baby mama doing? Is she holding in there? Got that postpartum depression bullshit yet?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's fun. You know what it is, man? Like,
did it regulate her?
I don't know how it. I don't know when that would set in, but like, I feel like all we do is stare at this freaking kid who
does nothing.
So perfect, and it's like a fish. It's like you bought a new fish.
Right.
I could stare at her for freaking days. I was talking to, again, good friend of the show, number 6, just earlier today, and I'm like, everybody says you don't get it until you have a child, and I'm like, I never thought I'd even get it, but I get it, and it's unexplainable.
It is.
You
it really is.
Explain what goes through your brain, what goes through your mind, and not like, oh, I'm responsible for this child if I don't feed her. Like, there's nothing like that. There's like such an innate response to care, or I guess sometimes you are prepared when you truly unconditionally love someone or something. Like you don't wake up to think, oh, what do I have to do to help this? There's such an ingrained reaction in your mind to say, whatever has to be. It's ingrained. So it's all innate. You hear something, you react to it, you fix it, you help it. It's the damnedest thing. But and 90% of the population, not 90, you know what I mean? Most adults. And Ocho, again, ageless, timeless, so adulthood, childhood, it's all blended in. Doesn't matter. But it's a wild thing that I can just stare. She doesn't move. She don't have to move too much. She may move for hours, and I'll just stare.
Yep.
And it's like, what just happened in the last 3 hours? I could have gotten the gutters done. I could have cleaned out the shed. I go, nope. It's like you bought a new fish and you stare at it. But it's enjoyable as hell. And again, I don't know the postpartum thing, because when you stare at it, you get so happy.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's almost like a dopamine response or an endorphin response. It's like, so I don't know, and I don't know how long it would take to sit in. So I'm not going to predict anything. So far everything is wonderful.
Okay.
I took that and played around with it for a bit. Yeah,
no, you really did. Just expecting your typical 3-4 word, 6 to 8 word answer. So. Good on you, though. And I did tell you before it happened that it was going to change your life, and you can't describe it until you go through with it. And it's really what it is. And people that don't have kids won't get it. And people that have dogs that think they're their kids, which was me before I had a kid, not even fucking close. It prepares you a little bit because you got to be responsible for not killing something.
Responsibilities, yes.
Yeah. But other than that, it's not even close to having to raise a human being. Like, when you really think about it, you created a human being. And people take that shit for granted. And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, it just...
It's still miraculous to me, honestly. And
I think fax machines are still miraculous to me. Like, I don't even fucking get how you can send a picture here and somebody in China gets it. Like,
same. I'm like, why can't you put a bowl of spaghetti in there and it come out a bowl of spaghetti?
Right?
That's not fair.
Yes, I agree. Joining us also is the third man of the team. I think he's here. He's a little bit under the weather, but he's still sexy as hell. No matter what shape he's in, no matter how he's feeling, you can't coach that. It is the one and only Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's going on, JP?
Thanks, Rad Rob. Yeah, it's I'm sorry to you guys and to our loyal viewers. Extremely under the weather today. I'm fighting a massive stomach bug. So sorry if I randomly have to get up and use the restroom for one exit hole or the other. But
no, that's cool. I'll ask Ocho about kids again, and we'll waste 15 minutes. So it's good.
I think that'd be great for the show if we could, get an all access pass. Really?
Well, I mean, like, yeah,
like you're the host. Take us with you.
That's a great idea.
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe I will. You guys can get a show.
And then we can guess like which one you're doing, right? Like, you can pretend to poop or you can pretend to throw up, and we'll just.
That you could throw us off. Yeah, it'd be like, name that projectile.
Right. That's a fantastic idea.
I can name it in one cough or one grunt or something.
I think there's money in that. I really think there's money in that for sure. Anyway,
but other than that, gonna try and work on through it. It's just it's an uneasy feeling, but we'll handle it.
Your life is
as the professional you are. Oops, hey.
Seems the whole world is out to get you.
That never
let's
gets
make
old.
the show longer.
Let's
make the show longer while the poor guy's laying in his deathbed. He's rolling around in his own filth, and you're gonna create more stuff.
I'm just trying to pump him up because I know he loves that song. So
you're definitely helping.
So to pull back the curtain a little bit more, since we already kind of pulled back Ocho's life, let's pull back Johnny's life. You didn't make this public, but I'm just going to throw it out there. You made a decision a few weeks ago that you weren't going to bowl anymore. You were just going to take some time off and kind of get back in a good headspace. But you kind of dropped a bomb on us Monday night after our other show and said that you're actually going to bowl a league this year. Yeah. Why the sudden change?
A lot of my social activity comes from people that I know in the bowling world.
Right.
And just like the structure of having something to do at the same time, at least once a week for me, is actually kind of a doorway to that social environment. And it also keeps me more structured in my regular life. Plus, I can't really imagine going through an entire year without bowling simply because I don't want to. And it's not like I'm doing anything else in replace of it to fill that time. So it was kind of just dead time at home if I didn't. So I selected a league where I had no commitments to anybody except myself. I'm bowling in a 64-person singles league.
Oh,
wow. It's 4 games, match play on Sport Patterns on Monday nights.
Oh, you're playing on the hard stuff.
Yeah, and it only runs for 15 weeks. So it's not a 36-week commitment.
I would bowl on that. Oh, my God.
You would kill it, Oach. Yeah.
It's the kind of league that if I'm contemplating exiting the game, but I still want to be involved with the game and cater to my contract status with Brunswick and things along those lines, it was the right pick for me.
You could have just said, hey, it's 7:00 on Wednesday every week. I'm just going to jerk off for an hour.
Yeah, I could do that too. There's no saying that I won't do that on Wednesdays. But the league starts on September 12th.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. I looked at the roster, a lot of good friends and good talent in the league. So again, I made that decision simply because I feel kind of empty when bowling is completely out of my life.
So let me ask you this: what do you think your typical arsenal is going to be to start out with?
This year, to start out with, I'm going to have a couple urethane balls, or at least a low-end symmetric pearl. I'll have one big ball and then a plastic ball. So I'll probably be chugging 5 or 6 balls to league every week. And then depending on what patterns we're bowling on, will dictate which bags I bring, because, you know, I'm going to bring different bowling balls if I'm bowling on cheetah as opposed to shark.
Right. Because I saw a post, the reason I asked that, I think it was the USBC group on Facebook, or maybe the Hammer. I don't remember. I'm involved in 50,000 different groups. But somebody mentioned bringing 3 urethane balls to their league, their match play league, and let the guys that are throwing resin figure it out and try to adjust. What do you think they mean by that? Is that just messing up the pattern for the other guys?
Yeah, urethane breaks down the pattern much differently than resin does. So typically guys that are throwing resin when the other guys have been throwing urethane will get a wiggle spot down lane. Mm-hmm. In other words, where the ball wants to change direction and go back towards the pocket, it doesn't. It kind of straightens out. And it takes away the head oil, which, you know, as far as projection purposes, eliminates that kind of reaction from the resin. But it's certainly nowadays, you know, I agree with it. Bring 3 resin balls, totally. Bring 3 urethane balls, and you're going to have less shit to figure out than anybody else is throwing resin. So it's kind of a defensive play, which there is no defense in bowling, but nowadays there kind of is.
Well, I was going to ask, is that a dick move?
It's not a dick move if you're going there trying to bowl the best you can bowl and you think you can do it the best with those 3 balls.
Okay.
It's a dick move if you show up to league with 3 sandblasted urethane balls and you deliberately play the wrong part of the lane to make sure the other guy is not going to bowl well.
Right.
Okay. You see people do that all the time too, which is idiotic. But it could go either way.
Ocho, are you going back in the league on Thursday nights this year? Are you continuing your dominance on Thursday nights?
You bet.
Would you
start the 8th?
The 8th. What'd you end up averaging last year? What was your final average? I forgot.
215.
And the year before?
215.
And the year before
that? All averages are very, very. I didn't bowl the year before that, did I? I don't think I did.
I think you've been bowling like 15 years.
No, I took 8 years off minimum.
Oh, that's no, I remember that. Yeah. No, you did. Right. I mean, that's not bad for coming back after taking that long off and being consistent over the last 2 years.
And I think the newest ball I have is from 2011 or 12ish. So
I'm just wondering with your daily commitments now, if you're still able to, keep your strenuous podcast schedule and your league night. So I don't know if that was allowed.
We record maybe once every 5 years, 8 years, and bowling is only once a week. Yeah, that's no problem.
That's fair. No, that's fair. What are you bringing in your arsenal this year, Ocho?
Johnny, what's in my arsenal? No, whatever.
Can you name one? Can you name one?
He's got a wrecker.
Yeah, the wrecker.
What color are they, Ocho? What color are they?
The wrecker's the blue one.
Okay.
Shit, the purple one is the oldest, I think.
That's the gravity shift, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. That sounds right.
Yeah,
I know the other one. No, I got to...
is that the one that he guessed last time? You told him it had little swirls in it or something like that?
That was the different... Oh, shit. That's still at the old house. No, that was anyway. Shit. That was an Inferno or something, I think. But that's not the point. It's a green and a purple one. Shit.
Green and purple. What comes to mind?
Is that a ball? Is winner a ball?
Yes, it is.
Well, Ocho's a winner.
It's a solid, right?
I don't know. What does that mean?
It's a matte finish ball. It's not pearlized.
I don't know what that means.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know what pearl is?
No.
The ivory in your wrecker is pearlized. Matte finish is it's a flat.
Like paint.
Oh, so it's not like glossy kind of.
It could be glossy, but
glossy
it's
or
not
swirly
pearl.
Kind of.
No, it's just that sounds about right. It's green and purple.
Yeah, that's the winner solid. Yeah, because the pearl winner was red and gold, and you don't have that one.
And then my Pittsburgh Steelers spare ball. That's the one I knew I had. The plastic.
I give you a great way to increase your average by 5 pins this year.
Take my thumb out of the ball.
No, just drill a ball. Drill a new ball that was made sometime in the last decade.
I have a couple. I don't remember what they are though. I got a couple down in the old basement. I keep saying I'm going to drill them up, but I'm not.
Just go see Glick and he'll hook you up.
But wait, those were Glick's balls? No pun intended. He gave them to me last year.
Shocker.
So
he's never paid for a fucking bowling ball in his life.
But I mean, like, I'm not gonna. Oh, I don't know. Are the bowling balls not striking as much because they're old?
Well, newer balls will strike more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're good like me and just keep throwing the 1990 shit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, your average is 140, so
190.
But I mean, if I go up to 220? That doesn't help me, anyways. If that's the way you feel, then fuck it. I mean, no, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because
you want a handicap, don't you?
Yeah, I'm probably not doing myself any favors by having a 215 because I'm not that good. But the shot isn't very difficult.
Do you know the handicap percentage?
What is it?
No, I'm asking you. Each league is different.
Oh, I don't know.
Usually 80%.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't get any pins, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's out of 210 then?
Possibly. Some leagues are different.
They do 90% of that or so. All right, and maybe this gives a help. All right, if we don't show up, the blind is 10 pins off our average. Right. So does that help any?
Nope.
With the handicap or no? Like, doesn't that? Okay, fuck it.
Well, if you're 215 and you go down to 205, then yeah, you might have like.
No, I don't know if that would help as far as like to figure out where it's measured off.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. But you can always ask the league president when you start. So.
But my arsenal's been the same for this will be the third year.
I can't complain, dude. The Swap Monster was the last ball I bought in like 2004 or whatever. So I mean, it's fine.
I never bought one, so I'm good.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys do. I need to lose weight again before I start bowling, and it just sucks.
What happened last year? Weren't you losing weight before bowling last year?
And then I put it back on. And then I had COVID last week. I dropped 14 pounds, and then I put about 19 back on. So we're good. I'm back in fighting shape.
Well, again, I'm noticing the ratio of losing something. You're always gaining more than I'm just look.
It's true.
It's probability and statistics. I think would have been the true formula for that. But
it's funny you mention that because I lost all the hair in my head and I got more, down there. So that's it worked. It did work. Poor Johnny.
Anyway, so what?
So how's the kid going?
It's not the point.
Are you bowling with?
Same. It's the same crew. Yeah,
same crew.
No, but I'm really trying to think. Would it benefit me to have my average go up by 5 pins? Because I don't have any room for error to miss a spare.
True. I mean, if you
for this year it would work because then I'm still going off my average.
You're still going off your average from last year for the first week, I think, or the first two.
For I think first 3 weeks, but then even still, I don't think like if I shoot 4 7s, I don't think they're going to start me at a 247. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I get you. I mean, even though you don't you don't have handicaps, so honestly, it doesn't matter. You just need to bowl the best you can every single week because you're not getting any help.
So the worse so the higher my average is. Oh wait, that's right. So the higher my average is, I'm at a 0 anyway. So we're not going to give more pins because my average is higher.
Correct.
We're already giving the max pins for me. Yes. I would think.
Correct. Yes, that's right. Or the minimum pin. Well, what
the maximum the max pins that we'd be giving based on just me. So my nephew has a 165. Mm-hmm. He's going to get pin I think again they do it off the team, right?
It's off each individual bowler, and then they just add the total handicap.
Oh, okay. So then, so I guess
you would have 0, and then whatever.
My nephew and I are probably canceling each other out, really. And then John L is the 194-ish, 193-ish bowler. So.
Oh, you bowl with John L? I didn't know that. How did I not know that? Maybe I forgot.
You don't know who he is, so
I know exactly who he is. You've been talking about him for 2 years now.
Yeah, I know, but you don't know who he is, though. Specifically.
No, I mean, I don't know him personally, but I mean, he's a legend, right?
Has anything gone on in bowling recently, or?
We're going to ask Johnny about that when he gets back. So let's do the first round of the guessing game. What do you think Johnny is doing right now? Is it top or bottom?
I think elevator down, because that's usually the stomach bug kind of. He didn't seem to like. You could tell by his mannerisms he didn't have any issue with like foaming or
True.
Wateriness.
I didn't see him grab his mouth or anything before he left. It
was that sudden that I think it's elevator down, because that's, they can just grab you and you only have it's like when seconds count, the bathroom is a minute away.
What happens if he gets both? Like, do we both lose, or? I'm going to pick up. I'm going to pick upstairs. I'm going to go with
downstairs.
That. Okay.
Also, I guess it depends on how fast he comes back.
That's true too.
The longer it is, it's downstairs. The shorter it is, it's upstairs.
You think?
I've
puked for a pretty long time sometimes. I mean,
no, but like it's still but it's like it's the cleanup. It's the we'll be able to tell, I guess, by his eyes.
True, that's true. And if he's sweating or anything,
watery stuff like that.
Okay, all right. We will find out when he gets back. In the meantime, he will be talking about Troy Lint, who just won something recently. I literally trying to look it up and I can't find it. So he will tell us about that. Next week, we're going to have Brianna Clemmer on, female phenom. She was supposed to be on this week, but she had a prior commitment. But she definitely will be here next week, and it will be a special live edition of Straight Up 5. Johnny Petraglia Jr. is back.
Definitely down.
No, it was upstairs.
Definitely down.
It was upstairs.
Definitely down.
Let's find out. He's getting his earplug back in. All right, let's find out which movement Johnny Petraglia Jr. just had.
Elevator down. He said, Rob says elevator up.
I wish I had the drum roll shit. I don't have that anymore. Johnny, what say you?
I'm assuming elevator up is from the face?
Yes.
Elevator up.
Well, yeah, but what keeps happening is, like, I've drank 6 bottles of water today, and 2 Gatorades, and 2 decaf coffees. And every time I make it halfway down the bottle, I regurgitate it.
Have you been laying the whole time, or you've been upright? Because the more you lay, the worse your body digests. So being upright is way better for digestion.
True.
Well, I guess I should be standing then.
Or sitting.
Just sitting
Even
up.
sitting is okay.
Prop up the pillows behind you and just sit up.
I didn't know if it was like because if it's a belly thing, sometimes you lay flat, you put your feet up, and that does take pressure off gas wise. That's elevator down stuff.
All right, so I'm up 1-0. Good deal.
You are 1-0.
All right, so Johnny, you want to talk about Troy Lint, and I apologize, I could not find anything online to talk about it. So you said he won a title this past weekend?
Senior regional event, yes.
Against Parker, right?
I don't know who he beat.
No, I just looked in the phone real quick, and that's the first thing I saw was Parker and Troy Lint, so I didn't even know.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
But he's recently signed with Hammer, and he's always been a great bowler. Again, Troy's been one of my nationals teammates for a long time, and he's been bowling well. You know, he had that really awesome showing at the senior national championship this year, and he's just been on fire lately. So he was he was extended a contract, and lo and behold, less than a month into it, he's out there winning titles, regional titles, and he's got such a solid game and such an aggressive, powerful game for a senior player. He's going to be tough to beat. It'd just be nice to see him get out there and bowl. Like this past season, Troy only bowled a couple stops on the senior tour. He didn't bowl the full swing.
Yeah.
And hopefully this kind of gives him the confidence to go give it a shot for an entire season and see how it goes, you know?
Yes. No, for sure. Congratulations to Troy. I mean, I've seen him bowl, for many, many years, but I haven't been following the senior tour at all. And I tried to Google it and I couldn't find it, and PBA didn't have anything on it because they're not the greatest website. But congratulations to Troy Lint on the PBA senior regional win. And Parker's doing pretty well too. I think he's made about $5,800, $4,800 this year or something like that. Like he's a consistent casher. There's not a lot of money in the tour, is there?
Did you just say Parker made $5,800 this year?
On the senior regional.
So
the senior regional tour. Gotcha.
Yes.
I said because he was the senior player of the year this year.
So take a guy like Sean Riccardi, one of our locals. Oh my God. Would he be a tour player? Because every time I see him, the dude is killing it in tournaments or at the nationals or.
Yes, Sean could be a very, very good PBA player. Yes, but Sean's always been the kind of guy that he bowls local things nearby to where he is. He doesn't travel much, and he works, and he has a wife, and that's the life that Sean has always seemingly wanted. He enjoys bowling league. He enjoys bowling local tournaments. And I think, again, the tour is so, how do you put this the best way? You got to be in the top 1%. in the top, well, we'll say the top 3% of bowlers in the world in order to make a living out there. And, we see, and the problem is if you're not in that 3%, and I'm talking about not only the guys that are the most talented, I'm talking about the guys who happen to match up with what the elements of the game are giving them right now. Belmo is the greatest bowler that's ever lived, but there's other bowlers that have made TV shows and have come out of nowhere simply because they match the elements in front of them. God, I forgot the one kid's name. Crap. But, I look at somebody like a Chris Vi, or I look at someone like, God, I can't believe I can't remember this kid's name, or guys like Zach Weidman and Zach Wilkins, and these bowlers that are doing seemingly well. It's not that they're better than Sean Rash and Chris Barnes. Their ball roll and their game and their speed and their tilts and their rev rates happen to match what's in front of them right now. So if you don't match up to the conditions you're bowling on a weekly basis out there on the PBA Tour, because no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how different the patterns are, patterns do favor a specific type of game. So you can put out whatever pattern you say. Case in point, when they do the World Series at South Point, there's the same guys make it up the ladder pretty much every event because they can stay in the same zone on the lane every event. So there's guys who have been around long enough and are responsible is not the right word. They're mature enough in their own brains to understand where they stand in their own life. Mm-hmm. And Sean's one of those people. And Sean probably makes a hefty extra side income just simply from his bowling because he does so well at everything that he goes and competes in. For guys like Sean, if you got your life made, man, you're living in Florida, you have your woman, and you're happy, there's really no reason to go out on tour unless you're looking for the prestige of being a PBA champion, which doesn't hold water in a lot of people's eyes.
Right, yeah. But I mean, not anymore. I mean, maybe back in the day it did. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had guys like that. At Bradley Bowl, we had guys like my stepdad Glenn Hood, Roger Burrell, Marcel Lassard, Tony Renaud, Litchie. I mean, guys that were just fantastic bowlers, bowled a lot of NEBAs and NITs and stuff like that. But never really had the desire, I guess, to go out on tour, or didn't have the finances. But I mean, Litchie definitely could have if he wanted to dedicate his life to bowling. But my stepdad tried the Northeast Regional, and he went all over the place, like Rochester, Lilac City. He bowled Oneonta. I learned about more upstate New York towns in the middle of fucking nowhere through the regional tour. Totally. But and I mean, even back then it cost a lot of money to go on the regional tour and hit all the stops.
Last time I remember was a regional for a non-member cost you $300 now.
Yeah.
Or $295, and first place is only like $1,500.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, that's one of the reasons I don't bowl regionals.
Right.
Is I'm not going to drive even. Let's even say Rockaway, New Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. So Rockaway is like, I don't know, 90 minutes from my parents' house.
Yeah.
So if I go there and I bowl and I make the finals, now it's late. Do I want to drive all the way home and then drive back to Rockaway the next morning because match play starts at 8 a.m.? Do I want to get up at 5 a.m., eat breakfast, and get in the car at 6, hopefully not hit traffic? No, I'm most likely going to stay and get a hotel room then at that point.
Yeah.
And at that point, the low cash number in the regionals, I think for a member, the regional costs $225. And if you make it to the next day, you're guaranteed. I think you're guaranteed $400 if you get less check. So you're virtually losing that by staying over the night that you have to. So that's why the guys that are big regional players really get hyped up for when they have the glorified regionals that pay like $10,000 first, because that's like winning 10 regionals in one shot, 8 regionals in one shot.
Yep. But back in the day when my stepdad was doing the Northeast Regional Tour, like Parker was always, he's always there. We'd go to Rochester, and I remember, I think I've told this before, just being behind him in a red light, and he had to personalize license plate P-Bone, I or whatever, and his Cadillac. If I ever get to talk to him one of these days, I'll mention that to him. But I think that was a Lilac City tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Which, man, that was a.
I remember the P-Bone, that family truck thing, the goldish one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, like you said, Parker bowled everything, and he's just been a force, man, for like so many years, and still going strong. I mean, it's how old is he now? You've known him forever. Do you know how old he is?
We'll find out.
He's 60, almost 60 or 61, I think. He's a year younger. That we're the same age as John L. And John L. turned 60 in July.
He is July 13th, 1963, so he's 59.
He's a year younger.
Wow, it's scary to think that next year Parker's going to be a super senior.
That's crazy.
And the guy still dominates on it. Like, what a slap in the face to people.
He is, man, dude, it's, you know what, man? I'm going to say it out loud right now. The reason Parker Bone, not to mention his incredible talent and just simply he's one of the best to ever walk the planet, man never has had a sip of alcohol in his life.
Wow, no kidding. Straight edge, huh?
Does not drink alcohol one lick, and I guess that's how you move to the foul line at 59, the same way you did when you were 29.
Right.
I mean, his weight is probably, within 5 pounds of when he graduated high school? I mean...
Yeah, he's within 10 pounds, totally.
But even as you get older, you still have wear and tear on your knees and elbows and shoulders and all that. But I mean, like, he's just, I don't know what his secret is, right? I mean, maybe it is just keeping a clean life and, eating well. And I mean, God bless him. Because I mean, other than that, you're right. He is one of the best to ever play the game. I don't think he gets, I don't want to say he's underrated because that's a subjective word. But to me, I don't think he gets enough credit from the bowling world as being a top guy like a Norm Duke or Walter Ray or Brian Voss or
I buy that. I agree too. Like, what was he the 10th greatest bowler ever? I think on that list.
I think he was a little bit higher up.
And it's that's horrible to say. Like, he's underrated for that, but like, yeah, think about it. You guys got freaking 40 something. I mean, whatever. PBA and then the combined 80 something now.
Yeah,
80 titles between everything.
Yeah, I think we tried to figure it out.
Because whenever they talk about the GOATs and everything, they always talk about Earl Anthony, Walter Ray, Pete Weber, Norm Duke.
Right.
It's like they never bring up Parker. And I agree with you in the fact that I think he's underrated in the respect that he is never brought up in the midst of that company. And the only reason...
Is it because he's gentlemanly?
No, it's not because he's gentlemanly, and it's not because he's lefty, which is what most people would think.
Mm-hmm.
Parker does not have a lot of majors.
He's got 2, right?
He's got 2. And
that was going to be something I brought up. And you were at the first one that he got because you were a teary-eyed SOB. I remember.
That was his second.
Or that was his second?
That was his second one, yes.
I knew that.
You were close.
Yeah, but either way, yes. I think his lack of major titles is one of the underlying factors as to why he's not thrown in the GOAT mix.
Even though he's consistently consistent. I mean, I don't know if there's a better way to say that, but I mean, he is literally Mr. Consistency. And has gone on tears before. I mean, like early 2000s, like he just kind of, went off. I think it was it 2004, 6? Somewhere around there. Like he was, he was cashing all the time and he had 3 or 4 titles. I mean, he's always, I don't think he's never had a bad year. Let's put it that way. I don't think he's ever really had like a horrible year. I don't even know what he would consider a bad year.
The only bad years I remember Parker having was when they initially introduced the exempt tour, mm-hmm. and they went to the full-blown sport shots and in the early going, so like 02. This is when they were very, very hard because people didn't have any play on them. Like, people didn't know what to do with them.
Right.
And that was also when the strong, powerful lefties started to go away and the stroker lefties showed up again. But that was there. I remember that one year where he was on the bubble to make the exempt tour. Like, he needed to do well in an event.
Right. He might have not been a bowler if he didn't get points or something like that.
Right. I mean, he would have made it out of tour trials or at least out of the weekly PTQs or some way. But that's the worst I've ever seen Parker. And it wasn't even necessarily Parker's fault. It was just everything you've adapted to and done in your career, you can no longer do now.
Right.
Like your A, B, and C game don't work anymore. You got to make your D game your A game now. And he's that good that he was able to, you know?
Well, you had said Parker used to swing the ball a lot, almost like Dad, and then he had to kind of hug the gutter a little more is what the change was. I'm going back to what we were saying maybe a month ago or something.
What he had to do was he had to take his hand completely out of the ball
and stay behind it rather than come around or not hit
all the pinnacle pros are always behind the ball. They have more tilts that here and there, but
is that the professional way to let go of the ball anyway? That's the actual pro release.
Always has been. But what happened to Parker was he wasn't allowed to curl it. He wasn't allowed to whip up through it in the hit zone anymore. He had to be gentle. He had to shorten his follow through so it wouldn't bend at a 90-degree angle after he released it. He had to keep it straight in order to slow down the motion of the bowling ball to match the patterns he was on.
Was he deemed like one of those crankers back when? You know how they use the word cranker and stroker, but like I feel like he was never a true cranker, though.
I think he was like an in-between, right? I mean...
It's called a power tweener.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, there is something.
Like David Ozio was a tweener because he could play any arrow, but he didn't hook the shit out of it at all.
Brian Voss, would that be kind of the same? Or
Brian
not really?
Voss is close, is almost a power tweener. He's a power tweener.
Okay. Because I've seen him, and he's very gentle on the release, and
Bill
it looks
O'Neill
almost the same.
Is a power tweener.
Gotcha.
Wes Malott is a power tweener.
What would be EJ Tackett then?
EJ Tackett's a cranker.
But he can still do the power tweener, probably. I assume, right?
Robert Smith is a cranker. Rudy Kazamakis was a cranker.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what about Norm Duke? I mean, he really was able to adapt, but I mean, he was able to curve really hook the ball and get a lot of revs on the ball late in his career. Would you consider him a cranker?
No, Norm was never a cranker.
I mean, I know he's a small guy, but I mean,
Yeah, so is EJ.
Sure.
But Norm has always been a stroker.
Okay.
With a power stroker. I would say.
Gotcha.
I'd say he's more of a power stroker than a power tweener.
And he had a distinctive different release when he'd move left, and he would almost coil back, much like that yo-yo thing you were talking about again months and months ago, releasing the ball but not the true wrist flick, because this was even before that style was even out. I'm going back 20 years when he could open the lanes up by slowing everything down, and he would recoil his release almost, and whereas if he was to the right playing the gutter, he'd stand and pose. He had a much stiffer release. He'd stop short. Whereas this one, he would have to drag his arm and then pull it back, and there was constant motion even after the ball. So much like another learned way to do it, which I think is probably even more commendable on his athleticism to do something like that.
Totally. And his push away when he's playing deep on the lane goes left so he can create more of a figure eight motion with the arm swing. So it has time to get back under his shoulder to project the ball with that angle. Whereas when he's playing straighter up the lane, the push away is more out in front of him.
No shit. So Walter and Wes kind of do that figure eight gimmick too, right?
Yes.
Lee Trevino actually does a golf swing like that too. That was the way to keep himself from slicing the ball or fading the ball. He never wanted to hit a fade, so he would legit figure eight to drop his arm in the slot and stay inside and hit that draw every time, which same premise-ish.
Yeah, I mean, now that you know why he was so successful, right? 'Cause, I mean, that's a way to get a trained thing, just keep your mind I got to come straight at the end, and just get used to muscle memory and just get used to that, and that's why.
That reroute still has to be hard for the body to do, and that's what because there's so many little intricacies that could go wrong with that. Just a slight, you can bang your ankle real quick. You ever notice how close Walter Ray comes? Dude. I mean, I've never seen him do it.
I've done it twice.
Again, a testament to doing it 5 million times.
Right.
But that's the stuff we'll never see. It all looks the same to the casual viewer, but even me noticing a difference between Norm Duke's release because I'm a life coach.
That's obviously
the life coach.
So, would you consider Weber a cranker?
At times in his career, yes. but he's perfect.
For people listening, would we say the first cranker was Mark Roth? Would we agree to that? Just based on release alone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and now Pete didn't have that violent release. He got a lot on the ball, but he was out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he had a super violent release in his
but so minute you couldn't even see it, and it looked relaxed as he would let the ball go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which almost was, again, a testament to the athleticism to be so precise at that exact moment.
And it has nothing to do with the backswing either. It has nothing to do with his high backswing. It's all wrist at the line, correct?
It's all has to do with what's happening at the release at the line.
Right.
So again, let's go back 30 years to the early 90s when Pete was really cranking it. Got to remember, he was cranking urethane because that was all that was out.
He had to, yeah.
The same as Roth and Bob Hanley did.
Yeah.
So
if you counted the rev rate, it'd be similar. So we really have to go with that, I would think, even though they didn't have that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's crazy to me is all these years of Mark Roth innovating the game and being the first cranker. Not for nothing, and I've never really been very vocal about this, God rest his soul, but to me, Mark spun the ball. I mean, he did. He was a spinner, and it was spinny-ish, and like when you look at videos, like cranking it back then, he only moved the ball 5-6 boards.
Mm-hmm. And he left weird hits. He left weird hits sometimes because he did spin, whereas the pins should knock in. Instead, they flew out based on the way. It's so weird you're saying that because I used to say how, wow, he looks like he's putting so much. What he hit him, they'd be dead flush too. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely.
But it was almost a little bit of a flying saucer at times. I want to say if that kind of puts it in. So. Whereas Pete was so more consistent, I shouldn't say more consistent, but the ball kind of did the same thing every time. Go ahead, JP. I'm just shocked that I actually picked up on that.
Me too.
No, that's all I wanted to say was I never admired Mark Roth the way that he was admired by the general public for the simple fact that I really hated his ball roll. I didn't like the way his ball rolled at all because we were always told never ever to thumb it down, never ever to do that.
And what does thumb it down mean, though? Help us out.
That's coming over like you're going to spin a top on the floor where your thumb goes inside your fingers rather than staying outside.
Oh, okay.
So when you come over the top of it, you're almost.
So you are just literally on top of the ball too, instead of underneath it at the release.
Yeah, or on the side, continuing on the top of it.
I got you. You're helping it almost at that point.
Yeah,
like scooping a pitching wedge. You don't scoop it; you hit down on it.
Exactly.
How come nobody else did that? Or maybe they didn't have the same success, but I mean, why wasn't that a thing?
Because when you spin a bowling ball, it hydroplanes. It spins, it doesn't roll, so it doesn't create any traction. Roth figured out a way to do it where it gained traction. So
it'll do something different every time too, because eventually
it's not rolling downhill.
It'll start to track out at a different spot each time if you do it like that too. A top you can't reproduce every time, so that's
right.
Maybe that's a testament to his athleticism.
Totally.
It's almost like a knuckleball. Like, Wakefield was one of the few guys. I mean, there was Necro and all. I mean, there's several guys that could do it, but I mean, Charlie Huff, yeah. Only certain people could really have that much success with it, and maybe that's something that he had that nobody else could do. He just perfected that art of spinning the ball.
I interrupted with the Pete thing because you were saying about now back in the day, and I noticed that Pete always, when he comes back, he's got his hand like deep inside on the inside of the ball, and I got to figure that has to have something. That has to do something with his release, to be in that position, to stay on the inside to get, I guess, the most turn on it or whatever, or most, I don't know the words, tilt, turn.
Well, just remember, typically where your hand starts is where your hand finishes. So if you're holding the ball and you're coiled on the inside of the ball, it doesn't matter how much it opens and closes at the top. The hand is going to return to where it starts from. So the guys that are putting their hand on the ball are trying to dictate the motion of the ball based off their start, and then everything else just kind of follows suit. So by being in at the start, it allows your hand to open at the top of the swing and generate maximum power and leverage.
JP, your dad was very neutral in that, though, right? Like neutral, I guess, like almost a relaxed. He wasn't, turned out. He was just I don't know. Like, walk me through that. How he would hold the ball because I feel like he was almost just holding it.
Yeah, there's some guys that do that too, where they rely more on the release point rather than the start. Guys that are more aggressive at the bottom are typically more flimsy at the start. Mike Fagan, prime example. He's all over the place with his wrist when he starts, and he's super aggressive. Robert Smith doesn't do any crazy coil with the ball, and he's all over it at the bottom. So it's all personal preference. It's feel. It's what you're used to. It's what you know your body does in pressure situations, and it's kind of what just happens naturally. And until that natural start gets you in trouble, there's really no reason to change it.
This may be a stupid comparison, and Ocho, I'm sure, will tell me if it is. But I find it interesting that every sport that involves some kind of a ball has an unusual physical mechanic. Whether it's bowling and, twisting, turning your wrist. If it's a football, which, like, the release of the ball, like, you watch Tom Brady, his hand is like this. Right, they throw it and then they pronate. Like a U-shape.
Most throws, you pronate at the end, whether it's a baseball, whether it's a football. It's that last little, almost like that oomph that you get on the ball to launch it.
And baseball, even, especially with pitchers, their arm angle, their shoulder, I mean, just your arm has to be kind of like a rag, like rubber, like
batting stance. Batting stance. All these batting stances are so wild, but yet when they put contact to contact, they all look almost the same. Almost every guy who hits a baseball will look extremely similar. Not the same, extremely similar. Right at the point of contact. And some swing up or some swing down, but if you frame by frame it, as wild as they'll be apart, there's going to be that part where they mesh for those 2 or 3 frames.
Right, and I think that actually really correlates to bowling too, because people have their own arm angles and their approaches are all different, the way they walk. But in the end, it's pretty much the same mechanics when you're basically throwing the ball. So I think baseball, like you said, hitting a ball like that.
Pitch particular, slider, throwing it the same way, curveball, throwing it depending on their arm angle. But you at the release point, in order to make the ball do what you need it to do, it has to be thrown mechanically correct.
Right. Well, I mean, there are some pitchers that would change their arm slot. Like, you had some side arms.
No, arm slot aside. That's what I'm saying. Like, arm angle aside, but still, and JP played baseball for years. If anything, that's probably right up his alley, too. No pun intended.
Was there really no pun intended? No, it was intended, wasn't it? What are you drinking tonight?
Water.
So you're off the sauce now that you're dead? Good job, dude. Look at you. Maybe you'll get in shape now.
Why don't you fuck off? Maybe you'll get in shape.
Never going to happen, no.
Right, well,
the likelihood of you getting in shape before me is I would take that bet all day long.
What's the comparison? The likelihood of me being this? I win.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
All right, keep this man awake. Just cut this shit. All right, come on.
You guys know I'm not feeling well. It's not you.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying.
It's not you, it's me.
I've said that so many times.
I bet you have. So next week, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have Brianna Klemmer, female phenom in the sport of bowling. She will be here next week for a special edition of Straight Up 5 Live on YouTube. You can just follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. and Johnny's Facebook page, which is Johnny Petraglia No Jr. The junior's gone. He's just JP, which I'm sure has confused quite a few people.
That's all right. Let them be confused. They'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, fuck them. Ocho, what's your Twitter handle?
I don't know.
You can follow him at the Dr Ocho. Johnny P is at JPJR07, and I am at Rad Rob Gaming. Who keeps texting me? Fuck. Oh, it's Ocho. Fuck. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg's 51 years old. God, I'm not impressed when a guy who's rich is shredded.
Like The Rock, I think he's 56 now.
I'm not impressed because you have a personal chef. He can feed all you have to do is work out.
True.
You're rich. You don't have real work. Fuck off.
Well, then how's Johnny shredded? He does everything by himself.
Well, that's why it's impressive.
He's always impressive. Even when he's sick, he's impressive. We'll be back next week with a nerd. You distract me.
The nerd.
No, when you took a drink,
edition.
you got in my fucking blind spot and you distracted me. So please don't drink when I try to do the close. We'll be back next week with another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Once again, Brianna Clemmer will be here live in studio. Okay, that's... You get what you pay for, right, Johnny?
That's right.
Are you done now?
I'm ready.
Thanks for listening to Straight Up 5. If you would like to send your questions into Johnny Jr., send us an email at straightup5@gmail.com. That's straight up FIVE@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.